Hi Year 9, welcome along. Now look on the screen and you'll soon see that we are starting something different this week, as I was promising you. We are going to have a look at this book called Animal Farm. It is a famous book. A few of you might even have heard of it. It's one of the signs above my door actually, on that sort of signpost of book places. And basically, over the next few lessons that I put on the screen there, we're going to be reading this classic text. It is called a classic for many reasons, as you might find out. We're going to do it through video recordings. Now, because you haven't got the text in front of you, myself and Miss Talbot have been taking it in turns and basically filming ourselves reading the book. Now, this will allow you to see it on your screen and read along as well. And thereby that gets around the remote problem. And then we're going to be doing several quizzes on the chapters just to make sure you're understanding it as you go along. And then other bits of work as well. And that's probably going to run us up close to the end of term. I've put also on the screen, it's going to add to our knowledge of the world. So more broadly, this is a text which lots of people know, lots of people make reference to, and therefore it's a useful one for you to have read at some point in your life. It also will build up a knowledge that you may not have had about certain sort of, well, I don't want to give too much away because that's coming up in today's lesson, but it will build up your knowledge, to say that. And also, there's themes which link in with your English literature GCSE, particularly ideas of socialism, which have already come up in an inspector calls, and the idea about looking after each other in society. And that is also a theme which comes up in another text that you're going to study in Year 10, A Christmas Carol. So actually, this book is really useful because it's just another story which really sort of allows you to find out more about those sorts of important themes. I put near the bottom, it's a chance for you to do another AR quiz on a book. I mean, that matters as well because we're getting towards the end of the year, and that's our way of testing how much you've understood of Animal Farm. But also I've put at the bottom, developing your vocabulary. There are some challenging words in this book. It's a very short book compared to many, but it will still test you. And it will develop your vocabulary, and that's something we'll be doing as we go along as well. So without further ado, today's lesson coming up for you then. So task number 1, in a moment you're going to want to pause this because it's going to be time for some note taking, as I've put in that blue box at the top there. So if you need it, pen and paper, if it's not in front of you, pause now and grab some. And the first thing I want to talk to you about, which I'd like you to write down as well, is this word. Allegory is how you say it. Allegory, and you can pretty much copy this word for word. You're going to want to pause this video at some point. As it says there, it's a story that can be interpreted to reveal a hidden meaning, which is often a moral meaning or a political meaning, by which we mean morals, teaching you the difference between right and wrong at the most simple level. Fairy tales are allegories because they teach you the difference between right and wrong. But also there's these political allegories as well. He's sort of revealing, if you like, what can happen if certain people are allowed to do what they wish and run a country in the way that they want to. So Animal Farm is an allegory, and it's a political allegory as well. And I've put there in the bottom left how you would phrase that then. Animal Farm is an allegory reflecting the events of 1917 Russia and Orwell's views of Russia's leaders. Now that won't mean much, but that's what we're going to move on to in a second. So task 1 isn't over. Above where you've just written the word allegory, could you please also write the words task 1, just so I can see really clearly where your tasks start and end when I look at your lesson on Show My Homework. Okay, moving on. So here he is then. This is George Orwell. Now he is a British writer. He wrote lots of different things. Among many, he was a novelist, so writing books and novels, and also a journalist as well. So writing for newspapers and writing articles. Second bullet point tells you, and again, don't forget you're going to make some notes here. You haven't got to copy all of it word for word, but try and pick out what you consider the most important things. He was a social critic. A critic, someone who criticises something, who's unhappy, they unpick it. Social means society. So he was somebody who really unpicked the way society worked and wrote about it and talked about it. Broadly speaking, he was a socialist. I don't want to make it too complicated. He was a believer in actually society looking after all members. He wanted to highlight injustices in Russia through Animal Farm. That is the reason he wrote the book, to try and open some people's eyes to the situation over there, because not everyone realised quite what was going on. You will find out what's going on very shortly. He also went on to write another book, which is 1984. Again, a very famous book. It is dystopian. It's like a really unhappy, unfortunate, negative future world. And I don't need to go into that too much, but just making you aware really that George Orwell was a famous writer. So, final bit of task 1 for me, and this is really important. Watch the video which is linked on this screen below, and I'm also going to put a link on Show My Homework for you. It will take you to a BBC Bite-Size page where you'll see a video. You'll need to scroll down that page, okay? So it will take you to a page and then scroll down a little bit and you'll see the video there. It's about 4 minutes long. Keep pausing it and taking notes. That's really important. If you just let it play through, it gives you a lot of information fairly quickly. So you will need to pause it at moments to make down your own notes. So you can answer my questions in a minute. Just quickly, there are questions like, this is going to be task 2, in what country was the revolution? What year? What was the symbol of the USSR? What does Stalin's name translate to? There's sort of lots of closed questions, we call those, with short answers. So just be making lots of notes. I'm going to go quiet now to give you time to pause and open up that link and make your notes. And when you finish, come back to this video and I've got more instructions coming up for you. So I'm going quiet for a few seconds. Okay then, let's move on. Task number 2 then is going to be you writing down the answers to these questions. You don't need full sentences really, most of them are very short answers. Could you please right now put task 2 on your paper for me, so again I can clearly see where your work starts and ends. And then here they are. All of these answers can be found in the video that you just watched on BBC Bite-Size's website. The only one which can't is question number 9, which is write a definition of communism for me, please. Look it up. You'll find it on the internet fairly easy. If you put into Google define communism, that's DEFINE, like you do in a dictionary, define, Google will just bring up a dictionary definition straight away. So I'm going to go quiet again. I don't need to say too much more. Some of these answers will be in your notes. Some of them might be doubling back to the video. The next slide will give away the answers. So although that's sort of a bit of a teaser, please don't just cheat. Have a go first and see how many you get right. And you can tick and cross them as well so I can see how many you get right. And here I am going quiet again for a few seconds to allow you to pause. Okie dokie. Right, here come the answers then. You will be able to pause this screen. I'm not going to literally read through all of them. You don't need me to. You can pause the screen. But give yourself a tick or a cross for all of those. I don't think there's too much to add to that. Sickle and hammer maybe is the one that you didn't remember. I'm just going to take this moment, in fact, as well, to ask you to sort of show me that you've paid attention to this video. I'm going to ask you to draw me the sickle and hammer at the top of your page. If you Google communist logo or communist symbol, you'll find that one comes up with a red background most normally as well, most typically. And you could write the word Stalin next to it, and that will be really good. So that's how I can test that you've listened to my video all the way through today. Before we move on to task number 3, if you haven't paused yet, pause this video now. And if not, here comes task 3, your final one. I want you to create some pages ready to add notes into about characters, chapter summaries and other ideas. So what you're going to need to do for me is go on to Show My Homework and you will find that there is something on there called a knowledge organizer. Now listen closely because I haven't got all this written here. You don't need to do all of those boxes off the knowledge organizer, but what I want you to do is set up your page ready and then I'll see a picture of this. So you will see, for example, there are a number of character names on there. I want you to write those character names onto your page, but you're going to need to leave maybe 4 or 5 lines of space next to each character so you can fill in the information about the character as we go through the book. For the chapter summaries, again, you're going to need 4 or 5 lines, probably more like 5 lines for each of the chapters. So when you write chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 1, 5 lines, chapter 2, 5 lines down, write chapter 2, chapter 3, 5 lines down and so forth. Those are the main ones, really. I don't think you need too much more. So if you could set your pages up, that will be the end of today's lesson. And then on Wednesday, we will actually get going and have a look at the first chapter of the book and probably the second chapter because they're fairly short chapters and go from there. So that's going to be it from me. Thanks for listening all the way through Year 9. Any problems, give me an email and I will respond to you. And above all else, I wish you the very best of luck. I don't know what I was going to say. I was going to wish you a nice day. And a quick reminder that my live lesson on Friday will be happening. I've sent out an email invite. If you haven't responded yet, then please do. And once again, I still welcome any suggestions of activities you might enjoy or have enjoyed in other teachers' live lessons that you think would work well in mine. Don't be afraid. Just politely put them into an email or into a comment. Right, that's me signing off. Thanks, Year 9. Have a nice day. See you later.